What's up guys, my name's Tristan and welcome back to another devlog about LightDrifter, which is an endless racer type mobile game I challenged myself to finish and release all within a month. Now for this video, we're gonna go over all the progress I've done to the game so far, what are my plans for the next 2 weeks, which in theory, if everything goes right, should be the last weeks of this project. So without delaying any further, let's jump right into the most apparent changes, which are the visuals. Now this is what the game looked like when we left off in the last video. If you want to see how we got there, just go check it out. In the previous video, I go over all the progression step by step leading up to now. And here is the current state of the game. A lot has changed of course, and I'm really happy with the way things are looking. But I have to say, I didn't do any of the changes regarding the visuals. I'm a big advertiser of using all available resources, especially as a game developer, if it allows for quicker and better results. Whether it's the internet, connections you may have, assets from the asset store, or in my particular case, my brother who is a 3D artist. After I showed him the prototype, well, let's just say he graciously accepted to save the game from my 3D modeling skills. All you see here is his work and still work in progress, but we can already see a massive jump forward in progression regarding the visuals. The first thing he did was replace the model of the vehicle since it's one of the more important assets. After that, he jumped straight on some tests for the environment and shader work leading up to this neat construct-like effect we now see surrounding the tracks. After implementing his work in the prototype, he had a great idea for some neon light effect. So he spent some time working on it, and here's what it looks like. Now, in my opinion, that effect looks really good and will most likely be the end goal for this game's visuals. We'll have to see how he feels about it and what else he comes up with. While he was working on all that good stuff, I focused on testing and validating the gameplay, and adding some variety of course. By saying that, I mean I spent some time working on a few tracks to add to the level generator. I also added some obstacles to avoid, and made a custom modular script that let me manage the movement of these obstacles from the inspector. Now, I have to admit, making tracks took way longer than originally expected. I know it would be one of the longer parts of making this game, but I definitely underestimated just how much time it would take. So much so that at one point I started looking for a different answer, like a procedurally generated tube-like track where I could just spawn obstacles at random and call it quits there. I know this is not a new thing in the industry, but at that time I was seeing the deadline for this project getting closer, and I needed to see if there was a better option, so I quickly tested it. I'm going to leave the link to the documents I use in the description of this video for those of you that are interested in making that kind of environment. After testing it, it was clearly not as fun to maneuver around in than the original tracks we had. Most likely because the controller was made specifically for that type of tracks. Now I could spend some time making something really fun for this tube-like environment, but that's been done a multitude of times and that's not the goal for this project. So I went back to the original idea, but decided to leave the level design part of the development for the last week. Since honestly, I could be spending a lot of time working only on the level design and diversifying the tracks without ever finishing. But since this is a month-long project, I really don't have that kind of time. So for now, this is enough for me to be able to say this is the direction we're going with the level design, and maybe even start asking around for people to test it. What was really lacking in my mind was the juiciness of the game. And when I say juiciness, of course I mean how the game feels. The feedback, the sound, the visual effects, and of course the UI, which I haven't even started working on. So my plan for next week is to work on the sound and visual feedback of the game, and once that's done, I'm gonna start working on the interface. With all that out of the way, then I'm gonna start working on adding content, like diversifying the tracks, adding unlockables, and customization for the vehicles. Well, that is it for this video. I don't know how many more of these I can make for this particular project. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe probably 1 or 2. It really depends on how fast we finish working on this game. But for after that, I have some pretty cool game ideas I could potentially be working on. And I'm thinking of doing some tutorials covering the car controller and map generating system we made for this game. Anyways, we'll have to see when the time comes. So that is it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.